There were this group of young filmmakers who were sort of blazing this trail. There were like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and these guys. And the thing that was great about having a film that had won a Student Academy Award is it was a great way to get your foot in the door, so to speak, because you could say, hey, listen, I got this film from SC, and would you like to look at it? And they would say yes. And in the case of, I did that to Steven Spielberg, and of course in those days he wasn't a famous movie director. He was but he was my hero because he was this young guy who has just been given $2 million to direct a feature film, and I just couldn't imagine. I mean, it was just unbelievable to me. And I'd seen his film Duel, and I thought it was just great. And I said, hey, I've got this film. Would you like to see it? And he said, sure. And he set up a screening in a screening room at Universal, and I brought the film over, and he sat there, and he watched it, and he liked it, and that was the beginning of our professional relationship.
Spielberg directed Zemeckis' script 1941, which he wrote with Bob Gale and John Milius, and produced Used Cars with Zemeckis directing. Neither movie succeeded at the box office, and Zemeckis faced a problem.
Most of the guys who run the studios in Hollywood are extremely superstitious. I can't think of any other word for it. They consider that if your films don't make money, your films won't make money, and they can't see beyond that, and they can't see the work of the filmmaker. All they can see is what it did at the box office, and Michael was the opposite, and so I owe a lot to Michael because he took a risk with me at a point where my directing career was extremely stalled, having done 2 flops, and I think it's all to his credit that what he saw in those films, he was able to see that that's what he wanted in Romancing the Stone, and I think that ultimately the formula that he put together as a producer was the right one.
Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner gave Zemeckis his first hit.
For me, my relationship with Michael Douglas was such that I had no problems. When he was the producer, he was the producer. When he was the actor, he was the actor. And I think the real credit to that it goes to Michael, because I think it's much harder to wear the 2 hats than to deal with the 2 hats.
The success of Romancing the Stone led to the making of Back to the Future.
Everyone in town passed on Back to the Future. Bob and I had just finished Used Cars, and we took a year and we wrote Back to the Future. And again, it's just one of those issues that you have to deal with in the business. I don't think that the decision not to make the movie was based on the material, obviously, because the material turned out to be incredibly successful. I think the decision to not make the film was based on the fact that as a director, I had a very poor track record at the box office. So the movie just couldn't get made. And subsequently what happened is I went off and directed Romancing the Stone, and when that movie became successful, then everyone looked at the screenplay of Back to the Future differently, and so then everyone wanted to make Back to the Future. So I must say, though, that there was one guy who always wanted to make Back to the Future, and I didn't want to make it with him, and that was Steven Spielberg, because I had made these two films that Steven produced, and they weren't successful, and I was afraid that if I had done another one with Steven and it wasn't successful, then I would be stigmatized as a director who can only get a movie made if Steven is his executive producer. So I said to Steven that I had to go off and make a movie away from him, which he completely understood and agreed with my career decision. So I went and I did Romancing the Stone, and then after that became successful and everybody wanted to then make Back to the Future, I felt it only appropriate and fair that I go back to the only guy who ever really wanted to make the movie to begin with, who was Steven, and so we decided that that should be the next movie that I make, and he would executive produce it, and we'd go and make it for Universal.
All right, there she is, George. Just go in there and invite her.
Okay, but I don't know what to say.
Well, just say anything, George. Say, well, whatever's natural. Well, the first thing that comes into your mind.
Nothing's coming to my mind.
George, it was a wonder I was even born.
What? What?
Nothing. Look, tell her destiny brought you together. Tell her that she is the most beautiful girl you've ever seen in the world. Girls like that stuff. What are you doing, George?
I'm writing this down. This is good stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
let's go.
Oh,
You take care of that.
Right.
Zemeckis and Spielberg teamed up again for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
So Roger Rabbit was the ultimate in the challenge as a filmmaker. And I think that aside from just physically being able to pull off the idea and pulling the film together in on a technical level, for me the biggest challenge was trying to keep a certain objectivity and a certain focus over about 3 years, and not being bogged down by the technical problems that were in just about every frame of the movie, and always attempting to rise above that and remember that we're trying to tell a story here and trying to have characters here, and not get bogged down in the technical stuff, which was there every single minute.
In this movie, the stars came from two different worlds which collided when Roger Rabbit, a toon, met Bob Hoskins, who had to imagine his acting partner.
I mean, obviously it was harder for him to act with nothing there than for me to direct him with nothing there. The thing that I did differently was to explain and act out as much as I could for him what the other character was doing. Other than that, I would give him the same direction that I would give an actor when they were doing a scene with another actor in the set. The thing that Bob had to do is he had to trust me, because I was the only person who knew exactly what the other character was going to be doing. It was in my head. And so if Bob did a reaction, for example, and I said to him, no, it has to be bigger, he would then have to completely trust that I was going to put the other character in the frame so that his reaction would match, because he had no guideline or nothing to base his judgment on. So it was just a totally trusting relationship.
Now that you're in this, Bob, you know, I guess we're committed to shooting this.
I'm worried it's a bit.
I hope you went to the bathroom.
Oh.
It's bladders, and it's like things that stick in you, and things that, you know, puncture your skin, and oh God, it's murder. Get down!
All through the shooting process, I had